Welcome back. Well, Victoria's healthcare system is being scrutinised this morning after Lewis Casbolt, a 91-year-old great-grandmother, suffered a broken pelvis and bleeding on the brain after a fall and was denied an ambulance and forced to make her own way to hospital. Joining us to discuss today's headlines is ALP President Wayne Swan in Brisbane and Independent MP Dai Le in the studio. Good morning to you both. Wayne, let's start with you. I mean, you know something's terribly wrong when an elderly woman with injuries that severe can't get an ambulance to take her to hospital.
Yeah, well, there's clearly been a breakdown somewhere in communication between the ambulance and the family involved. It looks like it's been a terrible time for that lady, and they should do everything they can to help her.
Dai, it speaks volumes as well, I think, on the priority that's being placed on regional settings when it comes to the health system, doesn't it? I mean, clearly they're under pressure, they're unable to recruit enough staff, but this just shows how debilitated the system is.
It is. It's just horrendous seeing that poor elderly lady there. I think our health system, I think the investment into regional and in areas like in southwest Sydney, in Fowler, that both the federal and the state government have failed to put investment into resourcing and staffing. Of course, there's still shortages of nurses and shortages of doctors in our southwest area, and no doubt regional in particular as well.
Yeah.
It's so critical, and I think the government needs to really focus on that.
And that is an issue, Wayne. It was bizarre to see yesterday the Victorian Premier Jacinta Allen bizarrely defending this situation, even saying Lois received, quote, excellent quality care. Is that how you would describe it? It sounds as though she's got her head in the sand a little bit over this.
Well, if that is correct, but I'm not sure that is.
And the ambulance union as well has defended it.
Well, the fact is that the health system is always under pressure. And it needs to be funded adequately, and it has been. And there's negotiations going on at the moment between the federal government and the state government. But at the end of the day, what we have to do at the local level is our best by the people that are out there on the ground, both the patients and the workers.
But Swanee, this is kind of unacceptable. I mean, this
Well, of course it's unacceptable. I don't think anyone would think that it's acceptable.
But the government is defending it, and so is the ambulance union. I mean, they're saying that was the only ambulance that was on schedule, on the books that day. And it would have been a 9-minute drive to take her to hospital, rather than sit there and get a doctor on call, take her to the hospital to physically see a doctor, and then move on with the rest of the night's dramas. I don't understand.
And that is entirely logical, and it's up to the Victorian government to explain why that didn't happen.
They're saying they're not going to do an investigation, though, should they?
They're accountable, and they should be held accountable, and they can be held accountable in the parliament. That's the parliamentary system.
All right, well, hopefully that there is an investigation and they do actually follow through with that, because no doubt this will be the focus of Victoria's new opposition leader this morning and for the weeks to come. And speaking of which, the New South Wales Liberal Party is also set to get a new leader. Swanee, Victoria, New South Wales, the federal Liberal parties could all be led by women by the day's end.
Well, I think we've seen 2 Liberal leaders go in a week, but I think it's less about the people and more about the product. I think there's a real crisis in the Liberal Party. I don't know, Di, do you want to go and give them a hand?
Look,
but they're moving in the right direction.
Well, look, I hope they're moving in the right
direction. They're looking for good people.
Look, I think it's very important, as you probably agree with me, Wayne, that we need a very good, strong opposition.
At all levels,
At all levels, state or federal, and we absolutely desperately need that, I think, at this point in time, and I hope that that they do sort themselves out and we get a real strong, credible and united opposition in particular as well.
Do you think we're seeing a new version of the Liberal Party emerge, Di?
Well, look, I would hope so. You know, seeing there's a female leader at a federal level and now a female leader at a state level, I just hope that the faceless men in all major parties who are behind the scene kind of manoeuvring make sure that they don't go in there and destroy, the whole, what we're trying to, get some real opposition out there. So,
but there's a problem here of substance. I mean, they're at war over climate change. They can't actually accept the science. So there is a real division in the Liberal Party.
The division is about cost of living.
And people who deny it. And they're not talking about other important issues like cost of living, because they're not really up to it.
What they are going to start talking about, Wayne, as you know now, is they're going to put on a united front when it comes to tax reform. Treasurer Jim Chalmers, he popped up yesterday, which was a welcome sight. I was wondering where he'd been. We hadn't seen him for weeks. But Wayne, do remind us again.
He's around the Volvo, you know that.
He's busy, I'm sure. But remind us again, Wayne, what did come of that economic roundtable that happened a few months ago?
Well, Well, quite a bit, and there's a lot happening. But if you just have a look at the report from the IMF yesterday, Australia is managing a soft landing and global uncertainty. Inflation has declined significantly. The labour market is still strong, and private demand is recovering.
All right,
so the IMF is giving the Treasurer a huge tick.
The Roundtable, though, I mean, it's another talk fest, isn't it? There's nothing beyond in-principle support for anything. And look, obviously it takes time to enact change, but it's being desperately called for, and we've got nothing to show for it months on.
Every parrot in a pet shop is talking about productivity, and the government has got a full range of initiatives going on. And one of the most important when it comes to productivity is getting energy investment into the system, which is what the government is doing, which will enormously increase productivity over time.
And increase prices.
Well, this is the thing. What do you think? I mean, we need comprehensive tax reform, Di, don't we? We need the cuts to wasteful spending. That's what's been found.
I think absolutely. I think
by the Productivity Commission.
Spending. I'm not a tax expert, but I've said we definitely have to have a tax reform. Increase our income tax threshold. Currently, it's about 18,000, and I think that was since 2012. We need to increase that. Really, I think that's one of the reforms that we need to do.
That level, Di.
Oh, what fantastic!
In the past,
fantastic.
So there's a bit of reform for you, and there's been a lot more along the way, particularly
awesome.
from this Treasurer.
I can't wait. I can't wait to hear that, Wayne.
Guys, we've run out of time, but thank you both so much for your time this morning. I really appreciate it.
Glory days in the wink of a young swan's eye.